Before I get to this meeting that's going on in Beijing, I wanted to get your thoughts on the IMF chief saying that she supports some changes in reforms in the IMF that could actually benefit China. And also in the report, it shows that China is showing stability while a number of other countries are struggling financially. I want to get your thoughts.
I think that's a very good point. China is the second largest economy, deserves more voices and voting shares in the international organization. So the increase of China's voting share in the IMF is a very good move from both China's perspective and also from IMF's perspective. Talking about Chinese economy stabilization, that's what we all hope at this point. I don't know, I'm not an economist, but economic indicators have not been that optimistic at this moment, so I can only hope.
Okay, we're both not economists, so we'll move on to politics, which is pretty interesting. We've got this group of bipartisan senators, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer there in China holding talks this week. We've seen Biden administration officials in China for meetings recently, but this is big because it's not just Democrats, it's also Republican lawmakers there. And I remember interviewing former U.S. Senator Joe Lieberman a few months ago, and he said one of the big problems in Washington is, you know, you need bipartisan support for things, but he said when it looks to bipartisanship in Washington, it seems like everybody's kind of against China. So this is a big message coming from Washington, isn't it?
I think so. As you said, that the bipartisan consensus at this time is to getting tough on China. China is not only a competitor, China is a rival, and U.S. has to act accordingly. So in this context, to have a bipartisan congressional delegation to visit China, to have a direct dialogue between the U.S. representatives of the American people and also the Chinese government officials, and also let them to have personal experiences and observation inside of China. I think that's very significant. And also, I'm very, very delighted that President Xi Jinping met them. There were some concerns if Xi Jinping will meet them. If Xi Jinping does not meet them, that would be a very big mistake. And he is meeting them, and their meeting went really well. I heard in a press conference Schumer had that their meeting went far beyond the allocated time. Took about 80 minutes. They have a very constructive meeting and discussion on some very important issues. So I think that's very important for Xi Jinping to listen to American representatives of the people, and also for the American congressional members to listen directly from Chinese leadership.
And of course, the Biden administration has invited China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi to come to Washington. He could come later this month. We've seen Secretary of State Blinken in Beijing in June, Treasury Secretary Yellen in China in July, and go through the laundry list. I'll skip most of the others. All of this in an effort to ease the frosty relations. So what do you make of all of these overtures?
And that's from American side. The Joe Biden administration does not want to be the president that to see a war with China. So he tries to reopen the communications and dialogues, try to reduce the misperceptions and misjudgment if there is something happens, and to avoid the escalation eventually that could lead to a war between these two superpowers. So he tried to build so-called guardrails and set up rules of interaction. I think that's very, very constructive. But for China's side, for quite a while, China was not very responsive because they were not, they don't believe America was sincere. And they also blamed Americans for the deterioration of the relationship. They want U.S. to take some concrete actions to amend the relationship. So America took actions, and they sent all the senior officials, cabinet members to visit China and try to open the dialogue. And now the ball is on China's side. They really should send out their foreign minister, and I heard is now in the process of negotiation, and also to send, I heard Vice Premier He Lifeng is also possible to visit the U.S. Eventually, I hope Xi Jinping will go to San Francisco next month to meet President Joe Biden at the sideline of the APEC meeting. that would be very significant. Those are all very important on the positive sides of the relationship, to stabilize the relationship, to put a flow on the free fall of the relationship, which is very sad for both sides. I'm very interested in what you mentioned, that Wang Yi's meeting, when he said with Schumer that the differences should not prevent these two countries work together.
Yeah.
In fact, in the last 50 years, there are so many differences. Even during the normalization of the diplomatic relationship, the differences was much bigger. But political leaders showed their political wisdoms to try and work on shared interests while working on those differences.
Yeah, let's hope that's the direction we're trending towards now. Suisheng Zhao joining us from Denver. Thank you so much for your analysis and observations. Appreciate it.